Fellow patriot, what if the power went out tonight and never came back? No electricity, no water, no food deliveries, and worse, your bank account frozen. No warning, no explanation, just silence. Your family in the dark, your phone dead, your options gone. That's not a movie. That's not someday. It could happen in the next second, because what we're seeing now, World War III is no longer a prophecy. It's real, and it's already begun. This viral 5-minute video could save your life, and the best part is you don't need any special equipment, training, or even prior knowledge to benefit from it. You won't hear it like that on the news. The headlines will speak of limited strikes and regional tension. But when the United States launched a direct attack on Iran following the escalation in Israel, and when Hezbollah, backed by Iran, sent hundreds of missiles into northern Israel, when American bases in Syria were bombed in retaliation, the fuse was already lit. Now, the storm is spreading fast, and it's about to reach us here at home. Nostradamus warned us centuries ago, the Great War will start in the Holy Land. When the eagle strikes the horned one, the Red River shall rise, and the towers of the New World shall fall in silence. At first I thought it was just poetic imagery. But the eagle, that's America. The horned one, that's Persia, modern-day Iran. And the towers? You already know what that means. We've seen them fall before, in fire. Next, they will fall in silence. Because what's coming is not a war of tanks and soldiers. It's a war of circuits, wires, and invisible pulses. A war designed to plunge America into darkness. And it's already in motion. For years now, whispers from inside military think tanks and black budget programs have hinted at a quiet kind of warfare. Not with fire and steel, but with calculated invisible force. A force that doesn't explode, but silently collapses everything we depend on. Communication, energy, logistics, leaving entire nations frozen in place, powerless and blind. But this next strike won't come with sirens or mushroom clouds. It won't be a conventional bomb or even a visible missile. Instead, what's coming is a global reset, a meticulously orchestrated collapse designed to wipe out modern civilization as we know it. Not just the systems, but the social order, the food chain, the trust between people, the very core of what holds our world together. One moment, you're connected. To your bank, to your job, to your family. The next, you're cut off from everything. And unlike the disasters of the past, this one has been planned. It's not chaos. It's controlled demolition, designed to erase the old world so a new one can be built, with different rulers, different rules, and a population too broken to resist. They call it progress. They call it peace. But you and I know. It's the beginning of a new kind of war. No lights, no phones, no food supply, no law enforcement. And now that the U.S. has entered the war directly, military experts agree. Iran, backed by Russia and China, may not attack with fire, but with silence. You'll be sitting at home, maybe watching TV, scrolling your phone, when suddenly, everything goes black. Your car won't start. The fridge is dead. The heater shuts off. You'll step outside, thinking it's just a local blackout. But your neighbors' homes are dark too. Phones don't work. No cell service. And that's when it hits you. We've been struck. In that moment of paralyzing silence, you'll realize this wasn't random. It was written. Nostradamus foresaw this. The voice of the people will die in an instant, and the land of the free will weep in darkness. Hunger and plague will walk hand in hand, and the beast shall watch with one red eye. The beast, it's not just a metaphor anymore. It's real, it's digital, and it has already infiltrated our systems. Artificial intelligence now controls our banks, our homes, our communication. It filters what you see, it flags your opinions, it shapes your reality. But when that beast loses power, chaos begins, because everything we rely on is gone. And the government? They're already prepared for themselves, but not for you, not for your family, and sadly, not for the vast majority of American families today. Millions of people, good people, are completely unprepared. They've placed their trust in systems that are about to fail. And when that happens, they'll be left confused, desperate, and vulnerable. But you still have a chance. The very fact that you're reading this means you're one of the few who still have time to act. If you stay with me for just a few more minutes, I'll show you exactly what you can do, starting today, to protect your family your children, even your grandchildren. But let me take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Daniel Cross. I'm a husband, a father of 3, and a grandfather of 2 beautiful little girls. I live in rural Missouri, where life used to feel safe and simple, but over the past few years, something changed. I couldn't shake the feeling that the world we were handing over to our children and grandchildren was teetering on the edge of something catastrophic. I kept asking myself, what kind of future are we leaving behind for our kids? When everything falls apart, will they suffer because I failed to act? That question haunted me. Then everything started unraveling. The pandemic, inflation, war drums overseas. But it was when Russia invaded Ukraine that my internal alarm truly went off. For the first time since World War II, nuclear powers were openly at odds and global alliances were beginning to fracture. I started paying attention. I began asking questions. I dove deeper into the warnings we were all ignoring. And quietly, I began preparing, just in case the worst actually came. And when the conflict in Israel erupted, violent, fast, and coordinated, it felt like history was speeding up. I prayed it would end quickly. But then came the moment America launched a direct strike on Iran. That wasn't politics anymore. That was prophecy, unfolding in real time. Something about the timing, the chaos, the headlines all at once. It triggered a memory I hadn't thought about in years. I remembered a passage from Nostradamus, written in 1555. Near the gates and within the cities, there will be 2 scourges, the like of which was never seen, famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. It echoed too close to home. 2 scourges, war and collapse, steel, missiles, famine and plague, the natural outcome of a society brought to its knees. I knew then. This wasn't just another flare-up. It was the ignition point. That's when everything changed for me. That's when I reached out to someone I hadn't spoken to in years, my old college friend, Thomas Reeves. We used to study ancient history and military strategy together. After graduation, he disappeared from public life. No social media, no trace. Thomas had left it all behind. He was once a U.S. Army logistics officer, trained in field operations and logistics under high-stress conditions. But what struck me most wasn't his rank. It was what he chose to do after. He walked away from the system to test everything for himself. I remember him once telling me, I wanted to know if I could survive without a single screen, a single dollar, or a single favor. Turns out, I could. And so can anyone willing to learn. He wanted to live it, not just plan for it. He moved deep into the forest regions of Appalachia and began putting theory into practice. He built with his own hands. He learned how to grow and store food, how to filter water from streams, how to build a shelter from scratch. He studied forgotten methods of survival, ancient farming, low-tech medicine, and biblical prophecy. He didn't just read books. He lived with the Mennonites. He spent months in Eastern Europe. He sat around fires with tribal elders in the Carpathian Mountains. And through all of it, he came to one conclusion. This collapse won't come with fire, he told me. It'll come with silence. Most people won't even realize it started until everything is already gone. The system will quietly fail them, their bank accounts frozen, food supply choked, and their children left hungry. Not all at once, but slowly, like a sickness you don't feel until it's too late. People will perish in their own homes the way children are dying of starvation right now in parts of Africa. Quietly, invisibly, while the world scrolls on. And by the time they realize it, there's no one coming to help. His words sank deep, not just as a warning, but as confirmation. We didn't need time to reflect. We needed to act. Then we began connecting the dots. The food shortages, the digital control, the engineered silence, everything Thomas had experienced firsthand was aligning perfectly with what I'd uncovered in the lost quatrains of Nostradamus. It was all there, hidden in plain sight. We talked for hours about what was happening to the world, about what would happen next. And every time we peeled back another layer, the conclusion became clearer. Thomas had been preparing for this future long before the rest of us even sensed it. Not because he had a hunch, but because he had studied, lived it, tested it, and because every sign pointed to one undeniable truth. Now was the time to act. That's when I told him, you can't keep this to yourself anymore. The methods he had refined, from wilderness survival to urban blackout tactics, from biblical preparation to modern resilience, weren't just useful, they were necessary. Not someday. Now. And that's when we made the decision that changed everything. My role was different. I wasn't the survival expert, Thomas was, but I knew people. I knew how to communicate hard ideas clearly. I had the background to connect his experience with what everyday families needed to hear, so I offered to help him, to shape everything he had mastered into a format that others could understand. We didn't plan to publish anything. This was just for our families and friends, quiet protection. But when the sirens hit and headlines spun the truth into dust, we realized if we stayed silent, we'd be no better than the ones keeping the people unprepared. Together, we decided to turn his private archive into a survival guide. But not just any guide, one that was easy to follow, faith-grounded, and flexible enough to adapt to everyday lives. We weren't ready to release it, but the world kept changing, and so did the urgency, and he saw it all coming. The collapse won't be loud, he told me. It'll be quiet, calculated, and people will be too comfortable to act until it's too late. It was Thomas who convinced me that prepping wasn't about fear. It was about obedience, about responsibility, about leading when no one else could. Together, we began compiling what he'd learned, not because we intended to publish anything at the time, but simply so we could protect our families and quietly help our local church community prepare. We kept the materials private. We tested everything. We refined the methods, updated them, lived them. The knowledge sat in our hands, ready, but we weren't sure if the world was ready to hear it. But when the war in Israel exploded and America struck back, something shifted. The danger wasn't theoretical anymore. It was immediate. Thomas called me and said, "We can't keep this to ourselves any longer." We both felt the same urgency. And that's when we decided we needed to share everything. Not months from now, not after another disaster. Now. So we locked ourselves away for several days, working day and night. We took everything Thomas had lived and learned over those years and compressed it into a single, powerful survival guide, one that could be used by any ordinary family without expensive gear or military experience. We felt that urgency in our bones because we don't know how much time is left. And those who wait for the perfect moment may never get one, not a panic manual, not a bug-out fantasy, but a living, breathing system to help real people survive the darkest days of this age. We call it Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence. Because while we built this to prepare families for collapse, what we quickly realized is that these tools aren't just for extreme scenarios. They're for now. They're for the parent whose child wakes up sick and there's no open clinic. They're for the family who loses power in the middle of winter. They're for the elderly couple whose prescription didn't get refilled due to a system error. They're for anyone who's watched prices rise, shelves empty, or city streets become more dangerous. The world has already started to shift, and the cracks are showing in everyday life. That's why Dark Reset is more than a survival system. It's a resilience manual, a practical, faith-centered, real-world guide to reclaiming control in a world slipping into confusion. Because peace of mind isn't something you wait for. It's something you prepare for. It's not a bunker blueprint. It's not about hoarding ammo. It's the step-by-step system I built to survive a total blackout triggered by global reset, whether from war, sabotage, or systemic collapse. What we put into this guide wasn't pulled from theory or copied from outdated prepper blogs. It's the hard-won knowledge we gathered through first-hand experience, deep research, and tested resilience. Everything I just told you, it wasn't discovered overnight. These are the lessons Thomas lived and the insights I collected during years of research, long before the blackout threat reached our shores. Back then, I spent months diving into suppressed texts, including the hidden quatrains of Nostradamus, warnings of a different kind of war, engineered, invisible, psychological, a war meant to collapse trust itself. Thomas had already seen the same truths on the ground. He spent years among off-grid communities, from Amish farms to forgotten villages in Eastern Europe. He learned how they preserved food, stored medicine without refrigeration, and secured their homes without ever firing a weapon. I documented how mothers in Haiti treated infection with herbs when antibiotics ran out, how Venezuelan families kept going through total economic collapse, how elderly couples who survived Soviet regimes taught their children to hide and survive. And we both checked everything against what the system already knows, but will never tell you. That's why we compiled it all into Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence, so you don't have to piece this puzzle together like we did. You don't have time for that now. Every critical insight, every tested technique, every tool we found, it's all in the guide. Because once the silence hits, it's too late to research, too late to guess, too late to hope. That's why I helped build this guide. It's not for doomsday theorists. It's for fathers, mothers, grandparents, people who can't afford to wait and see. It's for people who understand that the time to prepare is before the silence. Inside Dark Reset Survival Before the Silence, you'll learn how to preserve food without refrigeration for months at a time, how to store and rotate heat-sensitive medicines safely, how to identify the 5 best places to source clean water in your area, including 2 you've probably never thought of, how to heat and light your home without power using materials you already own, how to protect your home when law enforcement disappears without relying on bullets or batteries, how to train your family mentally and emotionally to stay calm and act with clarity when others are falling apart. But that's not all. We also included Thomas's field-tested emergency blueprints, which contain how to turn household scrap into shielding for critical tools and devices, what tools can restart a modern car after system collapse, and how to know if yours is vulnerable, where and how to build stealth storage for supplies right inside your home, invisible to looters, the spiritual patterns followed by the heroes of Scripture, the foresight to store grain before famine, the courage to stand firm in battle, and the obedience to build when everyone else mocked. And this isn't some theory. It's working. A family in Ohio used our techniques to stay warm, fed, and calm during a 9-day blackout that knocked out all infrastructure in their area. A retired nurse in Arizona used our off-grid medicine guide to treat infection during a supply shortage. A former Marine in Idaho built his own backup systems and is now leading preparedness workshops in his church based on our materials. This isn't just a book, it's a system. It's a lifeline, and it's simple enough that any family can implement it, even if you've never prepped a day in your life. You don't need fancy gadgets. You don't need a bunker. You don't need to live in fear. You need a plan, a guide, a voice that's gone ahead of you and lit the way. And that's exactly what we built. Now we're putting it in your hands, but only if you act in time. Because when the lights go out, for real, there won't be second chances. You won't have Wi-Fi. You won't have time to order online. You won't have the luxury of Googling what to do next. You'll either be calm or you'll be chaos. That's why we're offering Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence, for just $37. You'll get the complete field-tested survival system, built for real families, tested in real crises. It's simple, it's proven, it's already saved lives. And now, it can save yours. But you need to act fast. Because the day the lights go out, it's already too late. You won't have time to Google, to order supplies, to ask for help. You'll either be ready or be at the mercy of chaos. That's why I'm offering Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence today for just $37. It includes the full survival manual, plus these powerful bonuses. 1. How to make your own pharmacy. Store natural remedies that don't need refrigeration. 2. Silent defense. Protect your home with zero electricity or violence. 3. Faith in crisis. A full guide to maintaining your spiritual clarity when the world falls apart. 4. Resilient electronics blueprint. The 5 devices you need and how to protect them. And because we believe in this mission with everything we've got, we're making your decision completely risk-free. That's why it's backed by a 60-day 100% guarantee. If you don't feel fully prepared after reading it, just ask and you get your money back. No questions, no risk. This is more than prepping. It's biblical obedience. It's moral clarity. It's how you lead when others collapse. When the silence comes, your kids won't be looking at FEMA. They'll be looking at you. What you do now is what they'll remember forever. You were not shown this message by accident. The signs are all around us. Just like Thomas saw the warning signs and began preparing years before the first siren, just like I watched the prophecies unfold and knew we had to act, just like families across the country are quietly waking up to the truth and doing something about it. This isn't just about survival. This is about obedience, wisdom, purpose, and it's your chance to stand in the gap. Before the silence falls, you are being called to prepare. Click below to get your copy of Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence, and be the protector your family needs. And right now, you can access this entire system for just $37. One time, no subscription, just knowledge your family can count on. When everything else fails, click the button below before this page disappears. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the sirens. This is your moment. Be the one who was ready. Here's what this system helps you do. Even if the grid collapses tonight, keep food safe without refrigeration, store life-saving medicine without a pharmacy, defend your home without relying on weapons, find clean water in cities, suburbs, or remote areas. Stay mentally strong when the world falls apart. You're not the only one preparing. Here's what others are already saying after using Dark Reset. Greg H., Texas.
I've read dozens of prepping books, but Dark Reset was the first one that gave me an actual plan I could apply the same day.
Jason M., Ohio.
Didn't think we'd ever need this, but when the power went out for 6 hours Weller, we were the only house with food, heat, and calm kids.
David K., Michigan.
I sent it to my son. Now both our families are ready. That says everything. Feels good.
Elena B., Arizona.
Everything in this guide just works. No fluff, just smart, practical skills that I actually needed.
Susan T., North Carolina.
Not only did it help us prepare physically, it helped my husband and I lead with faith when our community was overwhelmed.
This page may be taken down at any moment. We've already received pressure to remove this information. If you're seeing this right now, the window is still open, but it may not stay open for long. Take action while you still can. Get Dark Reset now. Especially when all you have to do is click the Buy Now button below. Try it risk-free. If you're not satisfied in the next 60 days, you get your money back. No questions asked. Still unsure? That's completely normal. But let me ask you this. What's the cost of waiting one more day? Can you really afford to leave your family exposed when you have the power to protect them? Dark Reset is more than just a survival guide. It's your insurance policy when the system fails. It's a complete transformation in how you prepare, think, and act in a world that's becoming less stable by the hour. The people who've gone through this material say one thing over and over again. I wish I'd had this sooner. And now, you do. You'll learn to create peace even when the power goes out, to prepare meals when others are starving, to secure your home quietly, with zero violence, and to lead your family with clarity when the world loses its mind. So, don't wait. Don't give your loved ones a version of you that's unprepared. Become the one who stayed calm, the one who acted in time, the one who led. Click the button above and download your copy of Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence right now. You're not alone. We're standing with you, but this window won't stay open forever. Your future won't be built on hope. It will be built on what you do today. Get the full Dark Reset, Survival Before the Silence system, plus 4 exclusive bonuses for just $37. One-time, lifetime access, instant download. Click below to secure your copy now.